Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. We're starting a new parak today, the fourth parak of Nedarim, Daf It Gimel, number 33. Great share for you today, as usual. Let's get started. The bottom of Lamed Beis and Beis Mishnah. Ein bein hamudar hana mechaver lamudar haimano Michael. There's two types of Nedarim the Mishnah discusses. One is a general neder, right? Forbade myself from getting hana from somebody, any type of hana. And then there's hana, which is food related. Food related. No, I'm not going to benefit from you in regards to food. The only practical difference between these two nedarim, Jesus haregal v'kelim shein osim hen ochel nefesh. Number one is called Jesus haregal. Basically means taking a shortcut or trespassing through someone's property that you can get hana from. So if you, in general, took hana that you're not going to get any hana, you can't trespass, or you can't take a shortcut. The second that you're allowed to, and similarly, kalim, utensil, any type of utensil that you don't use for food-related purposes, obviously that's only forbidden in the general nether, but it's not forbidden in things which are only food-related because they're not food-related. For example, what are considered kalim that are food-related? So not only can't you benefit for him giving you food, but he also can't give you a sieve. He can't give you a millstone to grind wheat. He can't give you an oven. However, he could lend you out a shirt if you don't have a shirt, if you don't have your own shirt, the tabas or a ring. How could it be? Men wearing rings. Yes, the Mishnayos all say that men used to wear rings, and maybe should still wear rings. So for those people who look negatively upon men who have wedding bands, you should know that it's supported by many Mishnayos throughout Shas that men do have wedding bands. Maybe more than tabos. There's a lot of Mishnayos say they have multiple rings. So I'm talking about men over here. So whatever your preconceived notion of what a Jew is supposed to look like, you have to rearrange that based on the Mishnayos. Not only that, but a shirt, tabas, vitalis. Talis is a cloak, a coat, a frock, vinizam. Zam earrings. Men also wear earrings. Anyway, the point of the Mishnah is that if you forbade general hana, you can't borrow even these things. However, if it's food related, these things are not food related. The Gemara says, Matana, who is the author of Mishnah that forbids even drisas haregel, even trespass, taking a shortcut? Our Mishnah accords with the view of Rebbe Lezer. The San Rebbe Lezer Omer, afilu vitor asar b'mudar hana. Even something which is vitor, meaning people are usually mavater. People usually don't care about such a thing. Most people, if you have a house, your house is easier to get through by taking a shortcut through someone else's property. Most people in the world are nice people, as long as there's no breach of hezek re'iyah, where they're going to see private things in your house. You have curtains, or it's a place where there's no windows, so people shouldn't and usually don't care about people or neighbors trespassing or taking a shortcut, taking a shortcut through their property, because it helps the other person. That's vitor. Vitor means something I normally wouldn't charge for. Most people wouldn't charge for that. Yes, there are people that are evil, not evil people, are angry people, curmudgeons, that are mean people, and they wouldn't allow that. But normally people would move out there. Vitor, they'll give in without charging a fee for taking a shortcut. Nonetheless, that's considered asr according to Rebbe Lezer Mudar, and therefore, someone who has madir hana in general sense, you can't not only get any physical monetary hana, whether it's for a good or a service, but nonetheless, you also can't even pass through his property, because vitor, we'll have to explain this more in Yom Ben Sion, is considered part of the hana. Obviously, the Rabbanan argue on Rebbe Lezer. They say vitor is not considered a monetary hana. It's not considered a hana. And therefore, you'd be mutter to walk through someone else, take a shortcut through someone else's property. Of course, everyone agrees that if the guy is a mean guy and he's charging, right? He's charging you. So obviously, if he doesn't want you to pass through his property, then he's charging a fee or to pass through his property, then it's considered financial hana, and everyone will be usher. We're talking about a case where the person allows you to do it. Still, even though he allows you to do it, is it considered to be mutter or usher? Mishnah says, take enough forbidding food, so you can't let him borrow things which help make food. The Gemara asks, the top of Am Gimel and Aleph, Hamin Michael Nader. He took another about food itself, not about kalim, not about an oven, not about a pot that helped you cook food. Amar Hashem ben Lakish, Omer Hanas Machalech Alai. The benefit of your food. He added the word Hana, not just Michael. I'm not taking a Hana, nether just from your food. Anything which is a benefit coming from your food or related to your food, is that it's also included. So the Gemara challenges is this maybe all it means that really it's talking about actual food. The reason he added the word hana is that you can't even use the food for non-food related purposes, meaning whatever food is normally used to eat. If you use it for medicinal purposes, like to suck on a piece of wheat and to put it on, use it as a band-aid, which apparently helps heal a wound. Maybe that's what he included in hana, but it has to actually be food. The Mishnah meant to say where you say hana and you added the word hamavia, that you're going to bring not only the food itself, but any hana which will enable you to eat your food quicker or better. So that is included in the nether. Allah. Amar of Papa, Sakla Havi Peros, Kamar Lahavi Allah Peros, I feel the son of Alma, Hana Mavia de Maichali. Rav Papa adds that even a bag to hold fruits, or you lend him out a donkey to carry fruits, or any type of basket, even as a sack or a basket, it's included in our Mishnah. It's Hana Hamivia de Maichal. It's Hana that brings de Maichal because it helps you transport the food to your house, so therefore it's included in the nether. However, Rav Papa had the following question: Sus lirkov alav tabas li roasbo. Right? Some people, they have a quiet dinner at house. They'll have eggs for dinner. They'll have a piece of bread with butter for dinner. But some people go to banquets, have fancy dinners. So you want to show up in style. You want to ride on the fancy horse, or you want to come in your Bugatti or your limousine. So you want to borrow your friend's Bugatti. You want to show up in style to the ball, to the party, to the banquet. So with Tabasli Rose Bowl, he has a special ring, a diamond ring, a man's diamond ring. You want to borrow it. You don't own a diamond ring, but your friend, your buddy, he owns one. So you want to borrow it from him. The Rose Bowl, you want to look good at the party. Now, of course, the main part of a party, they're serving food there. So you want to look good for the party. Is that included? But Mahu, is that considered part of Hana Hamavil de Maichal? The Gemara asks another question. Mifsakal Mezel Ba'ari. Let's say taking a shortcut through someone's property in order to get to the party faster, right? Is that included? Right? Assuming like our Mishnah holds, what about, so we said that would only apply by a regular Hana. When it comes Hana Hamavil de Maichal, it wouldn't be Asr, but what about if the shortcut helps them to get to the food quicker? Would that also be included? Tashma. The Gemara tries to bring a proof from our Mishnah. Mishnah says you're allowed, right? If it's Hana Mavil de Maichal, you're allowed to let him borrow clothes and rings. Echidami. What in the case of our Mishnah? If the earrings and the rings and these fancy clothes, the fancy Ralph Lauren shirt, Charles T. Rich shirt, and the frock, the cloak, the towel. This is your frock. He wants to show up in a frock and a top hat, and he wants to look good. It's just standard clothing. Van Heusen's shirt, Exani Mashilo, obviously, those are things that are not related to food purposes. Allah must be afili rosebed. It must be talking about you're going to a fancy party and you want to show up in style over there. Exani Mashilo, and it says nonetheless, it's not included in that. You're allowed to borrow it from a person you can't get enough from. No, the merge says no. La'olam shaloli ros. Really, it's talking about a regular standard case. You're borrowing a shirt because you don't have a shirt. Not that you're going to a fancy party. But I think Zani Reisha lo yashilanu. Since the language in the Mishnah, the beginning of the Mishnah says lo yashilanu, you shouldn't be able to borrow kalim which help you cook food. Tana seva mashilo. So therefore, it says mashilo just to include practical example, but it wasn't being a chiddush. Say that even in a case where things which will help you show up in style, so it could be those things are usher also. The Gemara doesn't give an answer. It's a suffix Nedarim lahachmir. You have to go l'chumra. Mishnah says the whole davar she'enosin bo ochel nefesh makom she'noskirim b'chayotz ben asher. The Mishnah adds, even in a place where the kalim are not actually food related kalim, they're not a stove, they're not a pot. Nonetheless, if these are things that normally these are products that people would normally rent out, right? He has a new stove, or some people have appliances or pots that are worthy enough or in good enough condition that people would actually rent them out, right? To scale them out, or you have a fancy pizza oven, let's say, where an authentic pizza oven, where nowadays a lot of people bring to their parties an authentic pizza oven. It's a small one, so you can just make authentic pizzas in like 2 minutes. And so brick oven pizzas. So that's something normally rented out, right? You don't have to own it. You can rent it out. So if it's something which is normally rented out, even if it's not food related, right? It's a tuxedo or something like that. People normally rent it out. That would also that would be forbidden, even if you took a nether about hanas chamavil de maichal, because since he's letting you borrow it instead of renting it out, you're saving money, and the money you're saving, a lot of times people use, right? I'm budgeting, I'm trying to be more careful with budgeting for the month. So went over with my wife last night how much we're earning a month, and how much we're spending. So, obviously the biggest piece of the pie of expenditures is for food. So when you make money, almost half of your money is going to be spent on food. So, so therefore, if you're getting something for free, the money you're saving is probably used for food, and therefore it's usher. The rest is Michal the Reisha, the first Mishnah, Parak Pi She'e Maskir. Right, we're talking about even in a case where people they're not in good enough condition, or they're not valuable enough that people would rent them out. Mantana, Amar Ravada Barava, Rabbi Lezer, right? Lezer is the author of the Mishnah. Lezer says that Vitor is also Ramudar Hano. Meaning, even in a case where people borrow things that are not worthy of being rented out, they're not scarce enough, or they're not in good enough condition to be rented out, still it would be usher, according to Lezer, a vitor, right? Something normally people are mavater. They say, yeah, no problem, borrow it, is usher b'mudar hana, and that's why Mishnah says that you can't borrow things. You can't borrow things if you took another hana in a general sense. It's not only things which you're saving on the rental. You're not saving on the rental, right? It's considered to be getting hana. The Mishnah says, "Hamudar hana michavero shokelo eshiklo poreya schovo umachzer lo avidaso." You can't get hana from your friend. He forbade you from getting hana from him. Nonetheless, he feels bad now. So everyone we learn, besides a shkolim, you have to pay machzor shekel once a year. We don't practically do this around Purim. A lot of people give machzor shekel on the mincha before Purim. But technically, there's no machzor shekel now. There's no base on Mikdash, and the machzor shekel was used to bring the korban tamid. So, if he wants to, and have a base on Mikdash, you can give him machzor shekel for him. If he owes someone else money, I can pay off his debt. If he lost something, I can return it to him. In a place where it's customary to pay someone for returning something to you, people are not the heck that you could still return it to the guy. And the money that this guy really owes you, right, that you're not charging him over here, that you have to take that money instead of, right, that money is kadosh, because the neder is chal on that money, because he owes you that money, so give the money to hektish, and that way you could return it to him, and the money will go to hektish, and it won't be a violation of the neder. And Gemara said, we'll explain this Aveda, the concept of Aveda in tomorrow's share. The Gemara says, Alma avruche ari ba'almahu. In the first two cases of the Mishnah, shokol sheklo preas chobo, you can pay off his debt. Right. So you see that when you pay off someone's debt, it's just when a person is being attacked by a lion, right, and you scare away the lion. So have you really financially benefited the guy? No, you helped him out. So the same thing with Pareas Chova, you're not actually financially helping the guy, right? The guy owed $1,000 to somebody. I pay off his debt of $1,000. That's just chasing away the lion, the creditor. However, it's not considered, there's no monetary value inherent in what you're doing. Bishari, and therefore it's mutter, mantan. Who is the author of Mishnah? Amar Rav Shaya. Rav Shaya says, Zu divrei, top of Lamed Gimel and Beis, Zu divrei Chanan here. This reflects the opinion of Chana. which is we'll see as a quotation from our Mishnah in Maseches Ksubos, the end of Maseches Ksubos. You remember the Machlokas, the husband goes away, right? He owes Mizonos to his wife. Someone else is Pirnes Ishto. He gives Mizonos to the woman while her husband's away. She doesn't have the money to pay for her Mizonos. Then the husband comes back. Can he collect his money from the husband? I paid off your chov. I paid off your debt. Can I collect it from him? Chanan says you can't collect it. We're going to see in a second that you put your money on the horns of a deer. Deers run very fast. You're not going to retrieve your money. Rava says no. I feel the tema de Berakal. You say our Mishnah even is according to the Rabbanan who argue on Chanan. Gabi mudar or not. Technically, I can collect money, right, for paying off the mizonos of the husband. The case in our Mishnah is a unique case. It's talking about not a regular loan where the guy says, you owe me this money in 30 days. He's saying he's a nice guy, and he says, pay me whenever you want. Which basically means you don't really have to pay me. But if you get the money, just pay me back. If you don't end up having the money, you don't have to pay back. So therefore, I'm not really financially benefiting the guy, but technically you never had to pay back the loan. My Chanan, what's the case of Chanan? This Nana. We have it at the end of Mishnah, and then the Maseches Ksubos. Someone who went overseas, he didn't leave enough mazonos for his wife. Someone else, he liked this woman. He was hoping the husband would not come back or divorce his wife. He wanted to have an end with the wife. So he gave her parnasa while he was away. And then the husband comes back. The guy who paid for the mazonos lost his money. He can't collect from the husband. The sons of Kohanim Gedolim argue, all he has to do is take a shvua that he actually spent the money, and he can collect from the husband. Amar of Dosa ben Harkanis, Kedivrayim. Dosa ben Harkanis sided with the Bnei Kohanim Gedolim. Amar of Yochanan ben Zakkai, Amar Chanan said correctly, he can't collect the money. Rava Amar Karvoshaya, Rava, who answered our Mishnah is talking about a unique case of a debt, which doesn't necessarily have to be paid off. He didn't say like Rav Oshaya's answer to say our Mishnah is like Chanan. The Kamokilam is using the He wanted to establish our Mishnah both according to everybody, Chanan and the Bnei Kohanim Gedolim. Rav Oshaya lo Amar Karav. Rav Oshaya didn't give Rav's answer. Gzeira shel yifara mishum lipara, because he held that even in a case where the loan doesn't have to be paid back, if you're going to make on that case, then it's going to come that you're going to also there's also going to be a case where you have a loan that has to be paid back in a specified amount of time, and if we allow you to do it in a case that someone else to pay off your loan in a case where you don't have to pay it back, someone's going to come to pay off your loan in a case where you do have to pay it back, and that's considered a monetary hana, benefit, and in that case, right, would be usher. So that's why he says we're talking about according to Chanan, who says that even if I have to pay back the loan, ibed es ma'osav, technically it's avruche ari ba'almu, you're not financially benefiting the person, and therefore it's not considered a violation of hana. Hope you enjoyed today's shir. We left off a couple lines down, but tomorrow's a short daf, and it's a new sugya about Makser Avidasa, returning an Aveda to someone that they're forbidden to give him hana. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Stay tuned for Eid Ben Sion. We talk about this concept of vitor, aser b'mudar nar. Lezer and the chum. Lezer holds vitor is aser b'mudar nar. The chum ve vitor is mutter mudar nar. We'll talk about what the machlokas is, what exactly vitor is, and why it should be mutter or aser mudar nar. Eid Ben Sion coming up next.